Godzilla, King of the Monsters, one of the most iconic movie characters of all time, has been around since his debut in 1954, and he has continued making movie after movie even into 2021 with the latest Godzilla Vs. Kong movie. It was only really recently that I really got into Godzilla, after 2014's aptly named Godzilla, followed by Kong Skull Island, I know it's not Godzilla movie, shut up, and the 2019's King of the Monsters, which I absolutely adored. So with that, I always wanted to go back and watch some of the older movies, but the monumental task of sitting through 30 plus movies was a bit daunting, not gonna lie. But with the free time that I have now after I finished school, I have decided, screw it, let's watch every single Godzilla movie. All 36 of them. Yes, 36. And give a short review / summary on what I thought about it. This isn't a deep analytical review of these films. If I did that, I'd be here to 2033, and I don't really feel like doing that. This is single-handedly the biggest video project that I've ever undertaken, but I want to see it through, and I know I can do this. The beginning of me watching every single Godzilla movie starts now, all the way from Godzilla, King of the Monsters. God help me. Godzilla, King of the Monsters from 1954. Oh well, 56 since I'm watching the American version. To start off, this film does take itself very seriously, but the version that I am watching is the heavily Americanized version of the Japanese film, which is an even more serious film compared to the American version, but from research it's more or less the same movie. Since it's the first film, it has a very basic plot. Godzilla awakens from the Tokyo Bay and simply wreaks destruction. The film, when you watch it, you can tell it's been heavily Americanized. The editing doesn't help with it either, but it's from 1956, so I can't really complain. And then again, the Japanese version from 54 is different, so maybe the editing is better than that one. It follows Steve Martin, played by Raymond Burr, and Dr. Serizawa, played by Akihiko Ibata, to name a few respectively, as they try and figure out how to defeat Godzilla. Serizawa then creates an oxygen destroyer, and Godzilla is killed by it, but spoiler alert, his fate is later rewritten in the Millennium Era. I really enjoyed this film. For 1954, this is some of the best effects I've seen in black and white. In fact, it's the first black and white movie I've ever actually watched fully. Just to clarify this, and for the movies going forward, we're in this for the monster action, and not the human, so I won't be going in depth on all these characters. Godzilla destroying Tokyo is all you need, and it's great. They used the guy in the suit and built small miniatures for him to destroy, which must have been a ton of fun. But I'm just wondering how hot it got in that costume. The soundtrack as well, mainly Godzilla's main theme, is so iconic. I love it. It gives you chills when you hear it coming on. The movie does a great job at suspense and building up the Godzilla himself by showing us the aftermath of the destruction and later showing how he caused it. It's a classic and I find it hard to criticize, honestly. I really wish I'd seen this movie sooner. It's amazing. Go watch it. Godzilla raids again. Released only 1 year later for Japanese audiences, is an awful mess of a movie that is not even in the same league as the first film. It is so boring. And once again, I'm watching the American version, which was released in 1959, and is heavily re-edited again under the title Gigantus the Fire Monster. Yes, Gigantus the Fire Monster. Half the movie is just airplane POV shots with Godzilla occasionally showing up. But hey, this movie had the first official monster fight, that being Anguirus and the Ankylosaurs. And I swear to God, I only heard Godzilla's roar twice in this film. The rest is replaced by Anguirus' roar. Yeah, him and Anguirus have the same roar, you only hear the original one like once or twice. I'm not sure if the American version intentionally changed it because the name is different, that being Gigantus, which man, so dumb. And most of the fight itself is pretty good for 1955. For some reason they decided to speed up the footage to make it look like it's going fast. Boring characters, boring story, and if you're wondering how Godzilla is back after the oxygen destroyer, yeah, it's just another one. Yeah, just another random Godzilla that showed up. I would give a props that the aftermath of the monster fight is pretty cool to see, and the ending proves that the budget was indeed a lot higher when the army buried Godzilla in the ice. They try and make the death of Kobayashi really sentimental and sad, but I just didn't care. Alright, okay, enough ranting, I think I'm being too harsh. But hey, it seems to be the general consensus for most people for this movie, so yep, there you go. Godzilla vs. King Kong from 1962. Well, this film seems quite relevant at the moment, doesn't it? Is, well, what it says on the tin. It's Godzilla vs. King Kong, seemingly following on from Godzilla Raids the Game, where Godzilla is trapped in the ice but escapes, even though the movie treats it as if the previous two movies didn't happen. I don't know, during some of the news broadcasts, they kind of treat this incident of Godzilla breaking out of the ice as a brand new discovery, and that all previous incidents didn't even happen. Unless I missed something, please correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, the plot is that the Americans and Japanese are tracking Godzilla and keeping tabs on his location, and he is en route to destroy Japan once again. So they have a plan to bring King Kong over to stop him. And okay, I know it's 1962, I understand that, but Jesus Christ, look at King Kong's costume. Am I the only one really creeped out? I mean, look at him! Look at that face, it looks sinister! This movie is so insane, it's hilarious. And like most of these movies, the characters are unremarkable. I honestly cannot remember anyone's name. There's a moment where Kong grabs a girl akin to Kong's sympathetic nature and climbs onto a building, but is later sedated to be transported to fight Godzilla again. And just look at this! I have no words. Cinematic perfection. Kong and Godzilla have two fights in this movie. Oh wait, they don't. Kong pisses out in the first fight. Yeah, he sees Godzilla and goes, oh fuck, I ain't fighting that. Well, they finally fight and it's great. But again, Kong hides from him. He knows he doesn't stand a chance. They knock boulders on each other, they throw punches relentlessly. Kong sticks a goddamn tree down his throat until later. And get this, Kong is hit by a lightning strike which powers him up, because electric somehow gives him more power, and him and Godzilla then fall into the water. Well, it turns out, and this is confirmed by Toho themselves, Kong officially wins. Yeah, Kong officially wins in this movie. I just... borderline, this movie is insane, and I love it. It's one of the funniest movies I've ever watched in my life. Godzilla vs. The Thing, or Godzilla vs. Mothra from 1964. I didn't like this one. This is where the series got weird, and yes, I say weird when literally the movie before is about a giant ape fighting a radioactive dinosaur. But just listen. So the movie is called Godzilla vs. The Thing, and no, it's not John Carpenter's The Thing. It's this thing. This thing is Mothra, aptly named the Queen of the Monsters. She's she's a big moth and is worshipped by a tribe on an island that's been tested on by nuclear tests. She is also worshipped by these two singing fairy twins who worship Mothra and try and prevent the humans from taking their massive egg. So basically, a massive egg shows up in Japan after being washed away from the island, and rich men try and buy it and claim it as their own. This upsets the two fairies as they demand the egg be returned, but they're just like, you know. Godzilla then reawakens from the earth. Yeah, he kinda just shows up from the ground here with no explanation really. I really don't know how he's just lying there doing, but oh well. And he's drawn by the egg when he tries to destroy it. The humans eventually convince the tribe to let Mothra go and fight Godzilla, and she goes to save her egg. The fight is, it's unremarkable. Mothra kinda just flaps her wings at him and drags him around. There's a subplot with a rich guy killing his boss, and it's just bad. I didn't like this one at all. Eventually, Mothra just keels over and dies, and her offspring hatches into two larvae, which then spray Godzilla, and eventually he becomes trapped and falls into the sea, presumably dying. And that's it. The movie just ends. Honestly, it's one of the most abrupt endings I've ever witnessed. And yeah, that's it. I don't know what else to say about this one. It was just kinda meh. Ghidorah, the Three-Headed Monster is the debut of the most infamous Godzilla villain, Ghidorah, or Ghidorah, the Three-Headed Monster. An asteroid or a meteorite, I forget the difference between the two, falls to Earth. The two fairies and Mothra then attempt to try and persuade Godzilla and Rodan, the fire demon, to put aside their differences and fight Ghidorah. And I'm trying to remember what the humans do in this film. I physically can't remember what they do in this film. I pretty much enjoyed this film for the monster fights. Rodan's first debut, who is one of my personal favorite monsters, is really cool, and the fight scenes are as ridiculous and amazing as always. There's a really funny part where the larvae Mothra is just speaking to Godzilla and Rodan, and they just stand there like, bro, could you just, we're having a moment here, could you fuck off?
He's having trouble. They won't agree. He's saying all three of us must fight together against this new monster to save the Earth. And what is Rodan saying now? He says it's none of their business if the Earth perishes, and Godzilla agrees with him. Now Rodan says he'll just fly away. And Godzilla says they have no reason to try to save mankind. They've always had trouble with men, and men hate them.
And then Ghidorah comes in. It's my favorite fight of the franchise this far into the movies. And that's about it. It's a three-way between Godzilla, Rodan, and Ghidorah, and it's awesome. Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, or Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, again, is actually a follow-up to the last film. This was where, at least the Showah Era, just goes insane. Yes, if you think the fairies in the last two weren't crazy enough, now we have Godzilla in space. Already! Basically, the premise is that aliens have come down to Earth from planet X, where Ghidorah came from. I'm guessing after the end of the last movie, when Ghidorah just flies away, he returned to his home planet, which is planet X, where these aliens live. So now they're like, yo, could we, you know, borrow Godzilla and Rodan to, like, fight this guy? We're having a bit of trouble here. So they basically just kidnap them, and they make peace with the humans. If I remember correctly, one of the aliens falls in love with the lead star as well, but then the aliens turn against the humans, so we use this high-pitched frequency, which is like their weakness to beat them. Once again, the human subplot is just fucking boring. The trio then come back down to Earth to take it out once again, and they all get electrocuted, and Rodan just, he picks up Godzilla, he picks up Godzilla, and he body slams him into Ghidorah, and they all fall into the sea, and that's how the movie ends. That's it. They body slam him into Ghidorah, and then the movie just ends. It's so, I love this movie, it's so insane. Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, or Godzilla vs. Eyeballa, is, this one wasn't too good either, is a rather straightforward film. A guy called Ryota sets out to find his missing brother who is lost at sea, stumbling upon this criminal who is stealing a boat. From there they travel to Devil's Island, where they see that the people from Infant Island, the island that worship Mothra, have been enslaved by an organization called the Red Bamboo. The island is then surrounded by a massive lobster sea monster thing called Eyeballa that keeps everyone at bay. What do you know? I actually remember this movie's plot. Oh. Godzilla is then found sleeping in a cave and is then woken up, and the usual begins. This movie has a massively heavy emphasis on the humans this time around. In fact, the monsters fighting in general is a little underwhelming. Eyeballa is not really an interesting monster, it's just a big lobster basically. And whatever screen time Godzilla has, it's just him sitting down a ton. There's even a scene where they threw rocks at each other, but they treat it as if it's volleyball or something. And well, not to get too analytical of the story, that is one rabbit hole I do not want to get into. The impact of him actually finding his brother is just underwhelming. I felt absolutely nothing, and it's glossed over after like one scene and that's it. Fun fact as well, did you know originally that this movie was meant to be a King Kong film? Yep, originally this was slated to be a King Kong versus the Sea Monster film. This explains a lot of things in this movie, from Godzilla being interested in the female character, to Godzilla attacking Mothra even though in the last film they were basically allied, and Godzilla drawing strength from electricity even though that's kinda been his weakness for a while now. They straight up did not change the script to suit Godzilla's character at all, and basically just auto-deleted Kong scene from it and replaced it with Godzilla, and that's it. As he walks into the ocean, off into the sunset. Yeah, whilst I like this film, I will admit, it's not that good. Will you go to space again? I don't want to edit this. I can't look at his face again. Like ass. Son of Godzilla is the peak of cinema. When this movie was birthed into creation, that is when cinema would never be topped again. Forget Marvel, forget Star Wars, Son of Godzilla is the single best film that has ever been created. Anyways, this movie is awful. Yeah, I have so much to say about this movie. I actually watched it with a couple of friends and it was goddamn hilarious. Basically, the gist is that these researchers on Seagull Island are experimenting, and remember, they're experimenting. Do you know they're experimenting? Because they should let you know that they're experimenting every goddamn 10 minutes on the weather, and borderline are trying to freeze the island with snow. But things go wrong and they accidentally create a radioactive storm which makes the praying mantises and spiders on the island grow to monstrous sizes. Oh, and this guy just parachutes down and borderline just becomes a slave for the researchers. And then he meets a woman who has apparently been on the island since she was a baby, and yeah, the human story is possibly the most boring of all the movies so far, and that's saying something. Anyways, here's Godzilla's son. Look at him. He's atrociously disgusting.
It's too cute. It's disgusting.
And also, his canon name is Manila. Manila. Godzilla just abuses his son. He hits him with his tail, he threatens to hit him, and almost borderline leaves him to freeze to death at the end of the film. I don't think this is the Godzilla movie. I think it's just an ad for child abuse awareness. Know the signs, people. Know the signs. Godzilla borderline body slams the mantises and then comes back to give his son a ride on his tail. He tries to sleep and his son just plays jump rope with his tail. It's kinda cute, but at the same time it's horrifying because, I mean, look at that face. How could you love that? Then he wakes him up and he's just like, what the fuck are you doing, you disappointment? And tries to teach him to breathe his radioactive breath. Well, again, he threatens to beat him. It's just, I'm sorry, it's so out of nowhere. It's the thing you remember most from this film. Godzilla abuses his son. I never thought I would say that sentence in my life. The humans escape and Godzilla and his son fight the giant spider in the snow as the island is starting to freeze. And him and his son huddle to sleep during the winter. Well, after some thought, because Godzilla literally almost abandons him to freeze to death. Honestly, this was just, this is the funniest movie I've seen in a while. I can't get mad at it. Go watch it. I love this movie. It's so bad. Destroy All Monsters is the biggest movie yet, starring every monster that appeared in the series thus far, including some new ones. This includes Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, Gorosaurus, Eren, Manda, Anguirus, Baragon, Kumonga, and the best monster of all, Manila, my boy. They are all contained on an island known as, well, Monster Island, with a control center built underneath to study and contain the creatures. Think of it as a SCP center for kaijus, basically. Eventually, these she-alien girls disrupt communications in the center, and all of the monsters break out and wreak havoc across the entire world, like Paris, New York, and London. This all culminates in the she-alien people unleashing Ghidorah once again, where he proceeds to get his ass kicked. This is basically the whole selling point of the film. You don't need to remember any character's name, or even the main conflict, or anything about the humans. It's boring as always, honestly. I was just in it for that sweet-ass monster fight at the end, which is great. Ghidorah gets his absolute shit kicked in. Godzilla stomps on his neck, also bites his tail. Mothra and Kumonga shoot their sticky red fluid at him. Rodan does whatever this is. Anguirus also bites his neck and is hoisted into the air, but he falls to the ground and fucking dies. And Manila just breathes the smoke ring around his neck to choke him. That's my boy. I also love this bit where he tries to fly away and Godzilla's like, what the fuck do you think, Yoko? Get back down here. And then Gorosaurus just drop kicks him. I can't with this franchise anymore. Honestly, just skip to the last fight scene in this movie. That's all you need. Godzilla's Revenge is the worst movie I have ever seen. This isn't a so bad it's funny movie. No, this isn't an enjoyably bad movie with a few alcoholic drinks, it might be. It defies all laws of reasonability. This is how they celebrated the 10th Godzilla film? Godzilla's Revenge is about this kid who dreams he was on Monster Island and becomes friends with Godzilla's son. Apparently now he has the power to shrink in size as well. Also, he can talk.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
What are you doing, huh?
Just feeling lonesome because I got no friends.
We're both alive.
Oh, why'd you come back, huh?
I like it here. And I also want to see your daddy, Godzilla.
I'll introduce you, if we can find him.
Well, where is he now?
Looking for me to teach me fighting?
Why's that?
Godzilla says that I should learn to fight my own battles, you know.
No. The kid eventually gets tangled up in some criminal stuff. These two kidnappers take him and he's forced to hide and defend himself. As this is happening, it's mirroring his delusional world on Monster Island where this monster god Gabara is beating the shit out of Manila. And yep, this is what it looks like. He's a mutated bullfrog according to the law, and this is the only time he appears in the Godzilla franchise apart from his own spin-off series. And I'm glad it's the only time he appears because he's absolutely hideous. Manila is pressured by his papa to fight him and become a true monster. But he just gets bullied by this thing. And for good reason. I mean, look at him. Eventually, the kid gets away from the kidnappers and stands up to some bullies in an awfully edited fight scene. In fact, this movie loves this style. The editing is just... it's fucking horrendous. They go for this freeze frame editing style with fight scenes and it looks absolutely awful. They also reuse footage from all the other movies and pass it off as if it's new. And also, just as I'm editing this has what possibly might be the worst English dub I have ever heard in a film. It's not just bad, it's horrific.
Hey, Jordy, we want to talk to you. Where'd you get that radio tube, huh?
I found it right over there.
You stole it.
No.
Oh, yes, you did.
No, I found it.
Give it here.
Yay! I found it in that lock.
Okay, go honk the horn on that guy's motorcycle and I'll give it back.
I won't do, you guys.
You're afraid, aren't you, little shrimp? You want to try and take it?
It's busted anyhow.
It sounds like an adult desperately trying to put on a kid's voice, and it's just not working. And also, Manila, for some reason, even though he's meant to be a baby, sounds like a 90-year-old man. How this ever got past the editing stage, I will never know. And also, to go along with that, the music is also awful. Now, this is the American music. I think the Japanese music is different, but the American dub music, I know some people like it for the jazz music, but just, oh my god, I find it horrible, especially when it goes into this like electro sound. This is honestly one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. No matter how you look at it, this is easily one of the worst, if not the worst Godzilla movie ever made. There's a difference between being campy and lighthearted and being downright bad, and this is just downright bad. Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster is a massive improvement over the last outing, and has one of the most interesting monsters that Godzilla has fought up to date. Hedorah, or the Smog Monster, an alien life form from space that travels to Earth to feed on the pollution and rubbish left by humans. Growing in size day by day, this kid starts having visions of Godzilla coming to defeat Hedorah, but no one fucking believes him. Eventually then, everyone knows about the Hedorah, where the movie takes a very dark and depressing tone. Apart from the first movie, this is one of the darker Godzilla movies. It does actually take itself quite seriously, if you ignore the monsters looking a bit goofy at times. But I mean, you see skeletons laying on the street as the kid is mortified at what he sees, until Godzilla and Hedorah once again fight. Well, the fighting is actually really good. I think the Hedorah design is, whilst a bit goofy, really good looking. It's a disgusting creature made from chemicals and pollution, and so its attacks are poison based, burning one of Godzilla's eyes and being hurled into a pit where he's to drown the chemicals.
The Smog Monster fights by throwing Godzilla into a pit and dumping its body of dookie slime all over him. Ugh, it's nasty. He basically shits on everything in sight. I can't believe they did that to a cat.
Hey, want to listen to some tunes?
Humans are developing the idea to dehydrate the monster by creating these two massive electrode things. It seems to be working until the Hedorah tries to escape and Godzilla just chases after him. Yep. When I say this movie takes itself seriously, it did up until this bit, okay? This has been heavily memed on in the community, and it's just, words can't do it justice. Eventually, he catches up and knocks Hedorah and drags him back to the electrodes, where he rips out two big white balls. I still don't know what these things are. I thought it was one of the eyeballs, but they're red, so that would mean... oh god. So just as I'm editing this, I do want to say a few more words, because I genuinely do like this movie, but it is very, very weird. This movie is just batshit insane. There's the scene where this guy is in the club and he goes on some crazy psychedelics and these people show up wearing fish masks. This has literally nothing to do with the film, it's just a guy tripping on acid and seeing people with fish heads. I have no idea what this has to do with any of the movie, but it exists, and here you go. There's also this scene where the kid's on the roller coaster, and as he goes near the top, you can actually see Godzilla in the background, and he's just a black blotch. I don't know why it looks like this. It looks like a shot that wasn't even finished. There's also these really crazy animations in the movie that just play randomly for like no reason. They're kind of cool to see. I mean, it's something new in a Godzilla movie, at least with the Showah Era. But yeah, they're there. Don't really know why. There's also space lessons. Yeah, space lessons. Is this a Godzilla movie? There's also this scene. And no, I haven't edited the sound out. This is just silent. It's just a silent video of a building crumbling. I feel like the editors forgot to include sound in this bit. All in all, to sum up Godzilla vs. Hedorah, there's only one quote from one guy I know of that perfectly describes this movie. Take it away, James Rolfe.
The moral lesson of the movie is don't pollute, or else there'll be some weird shit monster that looks like a cross between Oscar the Grouch and the Blob. He's made of crap, so it's like Godzilla's battling a giant turd.
Godzilla vs. Gigan is such a strange movie, but I love it. The story is your typical aliens come down to Earth and seek destruction of mankind. So they bring monsters down to fight Godzilla and friends. Only now the aliens are cockroaches. I'm not shitting you. They are cockroaches who want to colonize the Earth by destroying all cities to make it quote-unquote more peaceful. I think I need the alcohol again. There's a lot of things I like about this movie and a lot of things I don't like. It's quite a mixed bag for me. The story surrounding the humans again is just not interesting. They create this theme park with a giant Godzilla statue being the main base for them, where a manga artist is hired under them and discovers their plans. Eventually, Anguirus discovers this and alerts Godzilla, but the aliens send down King Ghidorah again and Gigan, a new monster. Gigan is, well, I mean, look at it, what else can I say? I don't know what this thing is. It looks like a cross between a pigeon, a lizard, and a cyborg who had a baby and created this monstrosity. Not to crap on its design, because I personally love it. It's so wacky and insane looking that I honestly love it. It even has a boss on its chest. The two of them are beaten and retreat back into space. It's just your typical Showah alien Godzilla flick. The fight scenes in general and the destruction all look great. As you watch these movies, the stunts and general action of these movies actually improves and you can see it. But most of it is kept until the end, which is a shame, as you do gotta slog through some of the human drama. And get this, Godzilla and Anguirus talk.
Hey, Akira, come on! There's a lot of trouble ahead. I have a question for God. Why?
They talk to each other in plain English. Why? And like I said before, the story is just not interesting. If you're gonna watch this one, skip the fight scenes. It's a real mixed bag for me, though I will say I love how these movies have portrayed Anguirus and Godzilla as best buds. I don't know, something about that is just really wholesome. Godzilla vs. Megalon is another oddball of a movie that for once doesn't involve aliens. They really like the aliens in the Showah Era, don't they? The movie is about the world of Seatopia, a civilization that live underwater, who get upset by the countless nuclear testing going on above. Eventually they send up Megalon, a cockroach looking thing with wind up screws for arms. Yeah, I don't really like Megalon. Whilst his design is pretty cool, I just find him the most uninteresting of the kaiju so far. At least Gabba was beating up Manila and was contributing to making this world a better place by doing that. But Megalon, man, he just gets his ass kicked in this film left and right. Bottom line, Megalon fucking sucks. Another new kaiju also joins the fight. One of my personal favorites, Jet Jaguar.
Jet Jaguar, Jet Jaguar, Yatta the Jaguar.
Jet Jaguar is a human-sized robot created by an inventor for completely unknown reasons that the movie doesn't even try to explain. But for some trivia, it was actually created for a monster design campaign in 1971 by a kid. And how cool would that have been to have designed a monster and actually have it be in a film? I wish they did that more, to be honest, in today's age. Anyway, so the people of Seatopia are angry with the people upstairs, so they send up Megalon, who rampages to Tokyo. As some Seatopian guys try and steal Jet Jaguar. I'm sorry, just fucking Seatopian. That's the dumbest name I've ever heard. Seatopians. They try and steal Jet Jaguar so they can actually use him to control Megalon. Somehow. The humans then send Jet Jaguar to get Godzilla from Monster Island to come and fight Megalon. Kinda just like a sub, we got another giant monster situation, can you help? Yep, sure. So they go and fight Megalon, who gets his ass handed to him until Gigan from the previous movie arrives. And he also gets his ass kicked. And okay, I don't think you're ready for this. I honestly, you're not gonna be expecting this. I fucking love these movies. Just watch, honestly, just go watch the movie for this pod. Otherwise, yeah, this movie just kinda sucks.
Jet Jaguar, Jet Jaguar, Yatta the Jaguar.
Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, the first appearance of another classic Godzilla film. Mechagodzilla, more on him in a bit. So in this film, a lot of stuff happens. If I remember correctly, these people prophesied an ancient monster that will come and destroy the world. So out of nowhere, two Godzillas appear. So now the OG Godzilla is like, huh, the hell is this? Who's this guy? As he's fighting him, little bits of skin go flying, revealing a metal skeleton underneath. Also, the imposter Godzilla attacks Anguirus and gets his ass beaten, and it is so gory. Blood is everywhere, and I'm certain he breaks his jaw. Like, man, Anguirus is one of my favorite monsters. You really gotta do that to my man. Also, he doesn't appear in the next movie, so I'm certain, at least in this era of movies, that Anguirus fucking dies here. So now you're probably wondering who created Godzilla. It's fucking aliens again that look like apes. Why do all these movies have shifting aliens? Eventually, a new monster has awoken called King Caesar, who was the god deity of the Okinawa city that was prophesied in the movie. He goes to fight Mechagodzilla and seems to have the upper hand until he's beaten, and Godzilla returns electrified and charged up, even though in this series it has been proven to be Godzilla's weakness. Anyways, they destroy Mechagodzilla and Caesar returns to his cave and Godzilla returns to the sea. This one is just meh. King Caesar is just a dumb looking monster, honestly, but it gets props for introducing Mechagodzilla, and I do personally love his design in this movie. Terror of Mechagodzilla is actually a follow-up to the last movie, if you couldn't already tell. Terror is about this group of scientists who go hunting for Mechagodzilla's remains at the bottom of the ocean, to gather info on the alien ape race that built him, until they are attacked by the final new monster in the Showah Era, Titanosaurus, who isn't at all based off the actual Titanosaurus dinosaur. In fact, the dinosaur was discovered several years after this movie. I love his design. He looks a bit silly, but there's so much detail. I think he's one of the best looking monsters in the Showah Era. He actually looks like a monster. There's only one problem. One problem that I think plagues this movie. It's his goddamn war. It is played constantly through this film and is one of the most ear-piercing sounds you will ever hear. Anyway, so Titanosaurus attacks them and it turns out a mad scientist named Shinzo controls it. The alien race from the last movie again show up and begin work on Mechagodzilla again, with the deal striking between the two that Titanosaurus and Mecha will team up and take over the world. The duo will then go out and begin destroying Japan until Big G shows up and fights them. On the human side, this female cyborg sacrifices herself to end the control over Mechagodzilla and Titanosaurus. G was the daughter of the mad scientist, for context. Mecha is then destroyed and Godzilla pushes Titanosaurus back into the water, where his fate is forever unknown. But I mean, isn't he like an aquatic dinosaur? Why are we pushing him into the ocean? Kill him. Okay, fine. Because that's the only time he ever shows up. I don't like this movie, and in fact this duo of Mechagodzilla movies were just kinda lame. But as always, the fight scenes and explosions are impressive and are hilarious to see. This movie also just felt like the ones before it, just with more Titanosaurs added. All in all, it was just pretty meh. And that was the Showah Era of Godzilla films, all 15 of them. And my opinions, well, I gotta say, I love them. They are so stupid, so hilarious and over the top that I can't help but love each and every one of them. Apart from a select few. Of course, there were really bad ones like Revenge and Son of Godzilla, but as a collective, I think these are fine movies. The first movie is a classic and is easily the best out of all of them cinematically in terms of filmmaking, but my personal favorite one would have to be Destroy All the Monsters. Having all the major monsters in one big ball is a genius idea and is so entertaining to watch. You just gotta get through the human stuff first, of course, but once you do, man, it is so good. Now, to discuss the human plot of these films, whilst they, exist to push the plot forward and give reason to everything going on. All in all, I found each one useless. The first movie has the best characters in my opinion, but from here on out, they just got worse and worse. It constantly relying on the alien subplot controlling the monsters. I remember the characters from Revenge and Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster the best. Two of the worst films in the franchise. Those are the movies I remember the characters most from. But I digress, no one watches these for the human plots anyways. And if you do, it's alright. Honestly, listen, if you find merit in them, enjoy it. I just personally didn't find them all that intriguing. The fights themselves though were amazing, bombastic in nature with explosions, monsters flying through the air, body slam, drop kicks. I loved it. And Godzilla himself developed as a character throughout, going from a demon of destruction and death to a sort of hero in the last few movies. He was given a fun personality, very human-like, which I enjoyed, apart from abusing his kid. That was a bit far. And his role was just awesome as always. All in all, the Showah Era is an interesting collection of films, and to anyone who has the time, I recommend these movies to watch. Godzilla, the original of course, King Kong vs Godzilla, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla vs the Sea Monster, and finally Godzilla vs Ghidorah. I think they're the best, but hey, pick and choose what you want. That's the great thing about these movies. You can just pick one out that piques your interest and just watch it. Most of them don't carry on for the last one, and they're all a blast to watch. So yeah, this has been part 1 of my Godzilla review series, and thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next era. So yeah, that was part 1 of my Godzilla review series. I really hope you enjoyed. The next era I'm going to be beginning work on immediately, and I think it is called the Heisei Era. Yes, I'm probably butchering that name, but oh well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you could leave a wee like and a wee subscription. I usually don't ask for likes or subscriptions, but for this video, I mean, I worked on it for like a month. I would really appreciate it. It would be very helpful. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and maybe check out these films for yourselves. I will leave a link for a website that I use to watch all these movies, and yeah, tell me what you think about them. If you agree or disagree with some of my opinions, feel free to leave in the comments below. If there's anything I can improve on, or anything you didn't like, or I can improve on for next time, let me know. I would really love to hear some feedback. So yeah, take care, and goodbye.